feels like about 8 minutes. These look. Let's be honest. This podcast is for me more than anything else. These are never game recaps. So the Bears just lost. Thought about recording last week. Thought about recording in the middle of the week. So as always, you'll get kind of a mix of old and new takes. What is the justification for allowing LaFluer to still coach my team? How do we justify that? It's kind of the thing I keep kind of coming back to, and I wanted to wait a week to say it again. Know what? It doesn't matter. Where do I start? Where do I begin? I really enjoyed. So I feel like we spend a lot of time ripping kind of commissioners on this podcast, or whatever this is called. I don't feel like people have said, I haven't heard anywhere how excellent, it's an excellent decision to have the rivalry games in the year. And just if one team, and it's almost better if one team happens to not be good because it still matters because it's still a rivalry. So, like, do you want to end your season? You want to end your season Packers-Bears. Yeah, the Vikings game didn't matter, but it's still the Vikings. It's still sort of something. You'd much rather not end your seasons against an AFC team like the Ravens having it mean nothing. But having important games, having the Lions do exactly what was always going to happen, which is they were going to help us out get a win that they didn't need to, because so ending the season with rivalry games is super smart, and I don't feel like anybody comments on that. So because my wife's from Gary, and my wife and her brother and all the Chicagoland, extended Chicagoland contingent have had a really fun time with all this fruity quarterback stuff, all this Caleb, the whole year, like the magical year. And this is before you get into the Bears possibly moving to Gary, which the jokes just absolutely write themselves. Just marvelous. So they've had, so you can imagine, this is their magical run. It's been their magical year. They're not that good of a team at all, and they just keep winning these games, and that's a lot of fun, and that's what sports is about. And so we've had this rivalry through the house, and my wife is like Bears merch is showing up at the house, and so I started, not that I need any merch, so I get like this retro Packer sweater, like this 96 starter sweater, this vintage like used sweater. Like, everybody's having fun, right? But here's the thing. And so last week, as much as I'm like a grown man, was really hard for me because it makes you so mad. Like, the thing is coming. You're just watching this game, and it's, 21-0, and on the group chat, he misses the kick, and my brother says, "Boy, that won't come back." And you start just feeling it, and that's what sports I think does so well, is that you're like, oh, this is the scene where Bane breaks his back. You just kind of know how stuff is going. And I ran outside the house when Golden finally made the play. I ran outside the house and yelled into the cold night like a werewolf. It was a great game. But I'm the reason. So here's, for whatever catharsis I can get by saying all this, I don't really particularly feel like going through the whole thing about how the 85 Bears, how I was just in elementary school when the 85 Bears, 86 Giants went. So these are like the formational teams. And, Refrigerator Perry gets a G.I. Joe figure, all the Walter Payton, and I wanted the Wisconsin teams to just do anything. But the Bears were a big deal growing up. And then the craziest thing happened, and this is why one of the reasons I'm so mad. From 92 on, it's not just that we always beat the Bears. right? Like, sometimes the Bears have been that good. But, like, from 92 on, the Bears were never as good as us. Like, this Jim Miller teams, the Sexy Rexy teams, the Harbaugh, any of the guys that they had, Mike Tomczak, they had Neil, whatever the back was, it was number 35. All these guys, they had pretty good teams, Matt Forte, any of these guys, they were never as good as us. They never had a quarterback. And it's our birthright to beat the Bears. Since 92-93, it has been our birthright to beat the Bears. And we played the Bears 3 times this year, and again, we were better than the Bears every single time. Much better than the Bears every single time. And once we started converting the red zone, it became like very apparent. And so LaFluer has to be fired for this because he gave away our birthright with some lentil stew. And I don't understand why people don't see it that way. Everybody knew the stakes of these games. And these stupid nerds, like, to have our stupid nerd somehow be manlier than the other stupid nerd on the other sideline, and they're doing it, like, even McVay tonight, just like, so McVay, so it's 3.5 minutes left, so you stop him on 4th down, partially because Williams is awful, right? You stop him on 4th down, and so that's a tough stretch. You get the 1st down and run. The clock absolutely does not matter. The clock, it's so rare. I'm explaining this to my son. It's so unlikely that the clock is going to matter there because there's 3 timeouts. But what you're going to do, and I said it's a weird thing. You have to play like you want to win, but you don't really want to win because it doesn't matter because you're not going to get 8 first downs going down the field. As soon as you get 2 first downs, it's over. But you have to play like you want to win because if you don't play like you want to win, you're going to lose. And I think everybody kind of grasps this. And obviously it's hard and everybody gets paid and everybody wants to make plays. But they just do the dumbest stuff. And someone had mentioned that LaFluer was also on the sidelines for 28-3 against, the Falcons. And so, do I feel better that the Bears lost? Yeah, of course. But that should be us. Like, it doesn't seem likely that we would have beat the Seahawks. It was our birthright to have bragging rights against the Bears. We still have a much better quarterback than them. It's fair to say that Caleb Williams isn't awful. Like, I'll give him that. Nice arm. Just another runaround quarterback. He's just another runaround quarterback who needs to get out to the right so he can see 2 options. He's simply waiting to either run away or have one guy in the flat and one guy at about 13 yards that he can decide which one he's going to throw to. That's really all he does. And then he throws moonshot balls with the game on the line and just keeps coming up. It keeps working out. I really look forward to them being 2-5 next year and wondering what's going on with Caleb. So at least we can anticipate that. But, like, pretty good. He's he's probably the 17th best quarterback or whatever, but way worse than Love. Can't read a defense. The athleticism will go not as good as, certainly not as good as the good versions of Russell Wilson. But we couldn't beat him. We just gave them a million chances to win the game. Not that I'm bitter or anything. But we didn't because Matt LaFleur is a moron. And the dumb cornerback. And and obviously we don't have that good of an offensive line, and everybody got hurt. I understand, but that's why, it's inches in front of your face. You have to do all this to make sure that you don't lose to the Bears twice in the same stupid way. Also, it's really hard. I think we would all agree it's really hard to beat a team the second last game of the season and then play them again and beat them again. That's how incompetent LaFleur is. Like, we saw that growing up with the Rams. Or with, the Lions. I feel like it was one year we lost to Barry Sanders the last game of the season and beat him in the playoffs. Because it's kind of hard to double up. LaFleur sucks. It's been way too long. But everything, involved with not having an owner is just everything's just good enough. So it's good enough, so moving on is good enough. And generally speaking, I'm not the one. I don't do this for the Bucs. I don't do this for really any team. Like, if the other team, you don't really have bragging rights because only one team gets to win at the end. So I don't really feel like we don't have bragging rights over the Bears. It's funny that they lost and that Williams threw 3 picks, and it's funny that these miracle like Hail Mary plays. And also I have great freeness of speech, because even the Rodgers Hail Marys, I don't like rock with that. I don't particularly think that's a skill. It's an incredible football play. That's not a skill. He just threw the ball up. He threw the ball up against Nixon. You know, you just throw the ball. That will run its course. So I will enjoy them wondering. And what you're seeing a lot with the shelf life of a lot of these quarterbacks now is that you see this with Stroud. If they're not really good enough, like I still don't think Josh Allen is all that good either, or Lamar, any of these guys, like if you're not that good, well, if you're not technically perfect, then you're just going to have ebbs and flows to your career. I still think Jordan Love is the real goods. I think if we had a real line, we'd really be doing something. And the one thing I will say about Jacobs, obviously Jacobs really cost us the last Bears game of the regular season with the fumble. It would seem it's a poor comparison to compare him to Barry Sanders, but here's what I'm saying. It was why Barry Sanders is not the greatest running back of all time. Like, he just can't be. He was my favorite to watch. We loved him, and yeah, he's better than Emmitt Smith and all of that. But what you saw with Jacobs, like he's basically Iverson. They hand the ball off to him, and he looks to cross somebody over. And it was the exact same thing with Barry Sanders. Either he was going to cross you over, or he's going to get hit right away. So we couldn't do 4th and 1. And yes, it's out of shotgun, and yes, all of that. But part of it is just Jacobs. Oh, who was the dude? He almost reminds me in a different kind of way. What was the guy? Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell for the Steelers also like this. Le'Veon Bell was like the guy who would wait for the blocks to develop more than anybody in NFL history. And it's not, you just want a guy to throw his head into the line. You'd rather have a speedy, smaller back, like whoever the back that the Rams had tonight, Williams, than just Jacobs, who was going to like and one mix take somebody, but might get stopped in the backfield, because he gets stopped in the backfield all the time. And us forcing that. But obviously, so if I see that, the coaches don't see that. So it goes back to LaFluer, right? Yes, Tucker Kraft was out. Yes, the injury. I mean, again, I'm optimistic for next season. We're a really good team. We were a really good team. And Denver was a very good team. Like, just about every game this year, we were beating the other team. Just about every single game, win or lose, we were beating the other team. We were beating Denver, not decisively, but we were beating them well on the road. The Browns game was just a fluke. These Bears games, all these games, just about every game we either won. And then the other games we just punted it. It was just over. Or we were going to Malik, right? I mean, I just feel ultimately it's the difference between, even in a weird kind of way, what's his name, the light skin receiver reaching. Like, there's kind of the whole Belichick thing about at the height of Belichick mania. The whole idea was they weren't supposed to reach for the end zone. Because reaching for the end zones, they weren't supposed to reach for the first down. They're supposed to get it or not. And I don't know if that actually held up, but that's just kind of the idea. And what's his name, who I can't think of for whatever reason because the season's over, reaching for the end zone. Like, I'm happy you tried to make a play, but it's all this kind of stuff. Like, we're sort of undisciplined, but it's not that bad. Sometimes we have creative plays. It's just a bunch of mid. You know what? It's a bunch of good. It's a bunch of good. And since I didn't think we were going to win the Super Bowl this year, all I wanted was my birthright, man. That's all anybody wanted. All I wanted was my birthright. All I wanted to do was beat the Bears. To stomp on the Bears when they were like just 7-11, 7-11 all year. When they're just like just the crazy season. And they never should have gotten this. They never should have. So every highlight they got tonight never should have taken place. The loser, like, great play in a loss, like the TikToks that they'll be making all season on Caleb, none of that should have ever happened except Matt LaFleur is an idiot. Matt LaFleur betrayed us. We deserve better. We deserve better. We deserve smarter. We deserve more masculine. We deserve better prepared. But everything is like this, and we have these conversations sometimes about basketball. It's the same kind of thing. You go from the disciplinarian to the player's coach with creative plays, and you go back to the disciplinarian, and you go like it's just a circle. Then they tune out the disciplinarian, then you get the Mike McDaniel, kind of guy, and then you just go back to Mike McDaniel. Was Mike McDaniel the old Vikings coach, or is that the can't believe he's mixed nerd for the Dolphins? Mike, whoever that is. So, yeah, man, I'm mad. I mean, look, I'm happy that my wife is devastated and my brother-in-law. Like, I'm happy about that. Because, man, that was bad. That was just a bad week. And then, like, so I left the group chat. I did all this. And then they were accusing me of being a baby. It's just like they just... I don't want to talk about it. Anything else? Seahawks look really good. And everybody else is getting hurt. So if I had to predict, it looks like Seahawks Patriots, which is sort of interesting, but whatever. Yeah, what it is. Another wasted year. Big dumb idiot coach. And McVay, right down to the jet sweeps. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was maybe a little bit different, but they're just running the same kind of plays. They just want them. It was a weird kind of thing that. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to bed. At least the Bears lost. So at least we can share in the misery of another team. But again, that only goes so far. All right, whatever. Later.